He's opinionated.
He's a good feller, I think. Yeah, I like him.
He's unapologetic.
Well, of course, I think he's hot, but, you know.
He's not afraid.
I think this is the best year he's had so far in his career.
He's always real.
Finn believes he's an African leopard and likes to go by his leopard name, which is Shroud. He has strong feline traits and likes to run and hunt.
He is Brett Mason.
Welcome into another exciting edition of the Brett Mason Show. This is the Brett Mason Show. I'm podcasting from my car. Thanks for listening today. And boy, if you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, you're a podcast subscriber, or maybe on iTunes, all those, you can just search for the Brett Mason Show. I appreciate it. And a special hello to people who have downloaded the free Brett Mason Show app. There's an Android version as well as an iOS version. All you have to do is just go search for the Brett Mason Show. And if you want to do that, you just want to click on something and just have it work. We have a page set up. It's brett-mason.com/connect. brett-mason.com/connect. A little bit later, we'll be telling you how you can win this Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 that we'll be giving away. So that's pretty exciting. As I mentioned, I am sitting in the front seat of my car, and I'm waiting on someone. And after about 5 minutes, I was like, you know what? I could, instead of setting all the stuff up at home and doing this I could just do it while I'm sitting here, because this is just wasted time. This is time where I don't have anything else to do. So it'll be interesting to see if this ever makes it to the podcast, because I'm not sure what the quality of the recording is going to be. There's a little bit of rain going on, so you're going to get those ambient sounds in the recording. Plus, I don't have the high-dollar, fancy-schmancy microphone. I don't have notes in front of me to go by, so we're just going to be doing this off the top of my head. But what I wanted to talk about on the show today is the consequences of having your own opinions and voicing them. Now, a lot of people have their own opinions about things, but they don't voice them, especially when they run contrary to what everybody else is doing. I can tell you from being in radio for 15 years, especially on the morning show, which is the most critiqued, eyeballed part of the day for any radio station. The owners know what you do on there. You got consultants that know what you do on there. And, of course, the most people possible listen to that part of the day. So if you misstep or say the wrong thing, there's consequences to be paid from a lot of angles. The thing about working for radio is, I would say this, radio, the people that you hear on the radio, and it's going to vary from person to person, but you're listening to about 80% of that person. You don't get 100% of them. And some people hide more of themselves than others. Some people have a full-blown radio personality that's really not a whole lot like they are in real life. And you have other people that are real close to how they are in real life. But even those people are limited about certain things. Whatever your radio station's personality is, you have to kind of adopt that personality. So I'll give you an example. And I never saw this, by the way. I just know that this is a strong thing. And so that's why I'm using it as an example. But I never saw it, so don't think I'm calling anybody out or that I ever saw it happen, because that's just not true. Here in the South Alabama, we have a military base close to here. Of course, we're very pro-military, and I know working in radio, we did just about everything we could to either promote the military, promote their events, help them when certain members were in need, and just a lot of things like that. But now, if you were a Yankee or something and you had come down and been hired to work at the radio station, maybe your military stance wasn't quite as strong, you would have to assume the identity of the radio station, because the radio station's identity, matter of fact, we had little sweepers that would run between songs that would talk about Fort Rucker and God bless the men and women in uniform and all those kinds of things, and meant it. If you were hired from somewhere and you came down here and you were trying to fit in or whatever, you would have to adopt that personality. If you had even, I would say, moderate to level feelings about the military, where they weren't negative, they just weren't really positive, all the way to negative. You weren't really a big supporter. The rebel flags are flying by. It must be like the 8th four-wheel drive truck I've seen today with a rebel flag. That's so funny. Anyway, if that were you and you came to work at the radio station, you would have to adopt that personality. You would have to be on board with highly promoting the military, talking very well about the military, promoting their events, and really talking the military up. So that would be a part of you that you couldn't let out. And it's not that you would be disingenuous about it. It's just that's the way radio is for most people, because they move from town to town's area of the country to a different area of the country. So sensitivities are a little bit different. So most people on the radio are, like I said, I think they're about 80% themselves, about 20% of what they say is reserved. I remember at one point when I was working on the country station here in town where I was told I couldn't even have a Facebook. They just didn't like things I was posting on my Facebook, and they actually told me I couldn't have it. I countered that yes, I could, and I luckily won out on that in the end. Of course, it caused more problems, just another reason for them to dislike me. But I was, my Facebook page that's me. That was my page. That was the one part where I could say whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Now, I never said anything that I thought would reflect badly on the radio station when I worked there or anything like that. But there was just a couple of things that they just didn't like being posted. They just didn't want those topics being covered. So in that instance, I was kind of squelched as to my personality coming out. And I did try to be mindful of that, because on a radio station, you're on a team and you're trying to win for the most part. They don't now, because one company owns 9 or something stations in town, and they don't have to compete. They don't have to compete with each other because they own all the radio stations. And in spite of the fact that that's against FCC regulations, but I digress. But back in my day, we competed hard, man. We just, I had respect for and liked people on other stations, but we competed hard. And if you didn't win, or at least do very well in the ratings, you wouldn't have a job for very long. That's just the way that worked. So that's one of the ways that you would see things squelched a little bit. So all that being said, in your personal lives, that happens too. If you have family who's very really, really, really deeply religious, and you're a heathen, when you're around them, you're gonna squash that back a little bit. 1, because you respect them. 2, because you don't want things to get awkward. And 3, because it's just easier. My issue is that I just have never been one to want to hold back too much. It's why I was always in confrontations with the owner at the radio station. I spoke my mind. The thing I couldn't get him to understand, the owner, was I'm doing all of this because I love the station and I want to win. And I feel that it's my duty to present an opinion that I think will help the station. And then it's your job. Of course, you're going to decide yes or no. But don't take me standing up for my radio station or standing up for my idea as me bucking you. That's just my job. That's the way I looked at it. They didn't see it that way. They thought you were just being a jerk. And that's not the way I viewed it. My public life gone. And I gave all that up and walked away from it voluntarily. I guess we're about a year and a half ago now or something like that, year and 9 months ago. Completely walked away from it, and I have no desire to go back. But it allowed me to be more of the person that I really am. And so, 1 or 2 of my opinions are just slightly different than what, might have been, people might have assumed about me. Doesn't mean I'm a different person. Doesn't mean I was lying or hiding things. It just means there were certain opinions about certain things you just kept in the background, and there was other opinions and other things that you brought to the foreground. That's just the way that it works. So now I find that I'm posting things online, especially my podcast. I see some people gravitating to it. Some people enjoy the discussion, enjoy a point of view, and other people, they just get offended by it. So I posted my podcast about the Confederate flag which in my no means went across, I think, probably anybody's, mostly what they think about the flag. Because I'm all for people flying it. I think if everybody with a four-wheel drive wants one flying like those 8 or 9 I've seen today, I think that's great. I think it's fine. I mean, as long as you're not physically or emotionally harming someone, and you're proud of your Southern heritage and the men that died fighting for what they believed in, you fly it for that reason. But my point was that I'm just not sure it has a place over a government entity that is supposed to represent all the people. Because say what you will or believe what you want, there is a large segment of the population who is hurt by that. And I'm not even going to argue if it's right or wrong that they're hurt by that. It's kind of irrelevant, but I think that you probably could see their point if you are just a tad open-minded. So when I spoke about that point of view in that particular podcast, the podcast had been released for a couple of days, I think, and I noticed that my number of fans on my Facebook page had dropped significantly. It went from, I think it was 7. I think I was like 1 or 2 fans away from 7,000, and it was over. I was actually about 100 fans over 7,000. That's what it was. Seems like it was 7,102 or 7,103. I know it was a low number over. So. And I think now it's in the 6,900s or something. I lost a couple 150 people over that one podcast. My thing is, and this is, it's going to be my guiding principle throughout whatever I do for the rest of my life. I'm not going to pretend to be any one specific thing for anybody. I'm not looking for somebody's approval. The benefits, because we're going to hit the consequences, because that's the point of today's podcast. But the benefits of being who you are is that the people who finally wind up gravitating to you and wind up in your circle, they're there and they know you, and it's all good. The consequences of that, of being who you are, speaking your mind, speaking your opinion, is there's a lot of people that just aren't tolerant of other opinions. See, I am. I can vehemently believe that you're wrong. I can believe that you're just 100% wrong. And I will argue that point very strongly, sometimes bluntly. But I will never unfriend you on Facebook. I would never stop talking to you. I would never think you were a bad person. I would just think you were misinformed. I'm misinformed about a lot of things. It's not a crime. Trust me, if being misinformed about something was a crime, I would be locked away by now, because I'm misinformed by a lot of things, and I can admit it. There's other things where I don't believe I'm misinformed. I believe I have a well-rounded reasoning set out for a lot of things, and I'm just probably not going to change from those. That being said, I've changed my mind on a lot of things down through time. If you go back 10 years or so ago, I was a diehard Republican. Boy, I was the biggest Republican cheerleader that there ever had been. I spouted off all the lines I heard the Republicans say, and I got into a circle of people who were more libertarian, and as I explored the issues and really studied the Constitution and studied our history, studied the Federalist Papers, studied the writings of Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, I became more of a libertarian as time went on, to the point that I'm a full-blown libertarian now. And what all that means is there's some things the Republicans talk about that I'm on board with. There's a lot of things that I'm not on board with, but I'm not a Democrat. But there's some things that the Democrats talk about I'm on board with, but there's a whole bunch of things that I'm not on board with. And it's a really weird place to be, but it's me. I'm being myself, and it just shows that you can have deeply held beliefs, but you can change if you're open-minded and open to obvious evidence swaying your opinion. And to me, the scariest people in the world are people who will not, no matter what, change their opinions. No matter how many facts you give them, no matter how much evidence you give them, no matter how much you can support your argument to the nth degree, it's forever settled in their mind, and they're just not going to change. And so to me, those are the most dangerous kind of people. They're ideologues, and they're not going to turn loose of things, and you can't talk to them. There's no point in talking to them, really. But even those extreme people, I don't have to I don't have to excise you from my life. we just don't agree, and we're not ever going to agree, and that's just kind of the way it is. It's kind of the way it's always going to be. So the consequences is, especially on things that have to do with religion, that have to do with politics, things like that, you'll generally find that your family, most people's family in the South, all pretty much think the same way. And if you don't think the same way, you're an outsider. And so I don't agree with my family on all the religious things they believe in, and definitely not on the political things. And so it has made me an outsider, to the point that the more I speak about things, or the more my opinions are known, the less interaction I have with them, mysteriously enough. The less, that suddenly there's never ever a text message about, hey, we're going to be in Dothan. We haven't seen you in forever. It'd be awesome if you had dinner with us. You don't get those texts anymore. There's never, hey, if you're down this weekend visiting your mom, you just come over and blah, blah, blah. You don't get those texts anymore. You don't get those phone calls anymore. You're just somebody that they would prefer not hang around, to the point that you're actually shunned. And my thing is, I don't care how far off we are ideologically. If I love you and care about you, I'm going to continue to do that, no matter how misguided you are. And I can still hang out with you and want to hang out with you. We can go the route where we don't even bring up the things that we don't agree on, and so our conversations don't ever get there, so it's never a problem. But some other people, they just don't have that capability. Some other people, it's all or nothing. You're either with me or against me. You're for me or you're not for me. And by God, you got to take a stand. And if you're standing in my cap, then, I don't need you. So I find as I get older and I express myself more that I'm seeing this happen more and more. I'm seeing it happen quite a bit. The scary thing about it is that I've never had that large of a circle of really close friends to begin with. I've just never believed in that. I think you can have a lot of acquaintances, but I'm just not sure you can have a lot of close friends. And I think I have even less close friends than normal. And so losing one is a huge deal for me. Losing two, that's going to pretty much wipe out the bunch with an exception or two. And so I'm not a martyr or anything, or I'm not some kind of great guy holding up the banner of individuality at the great cost or whatever, but it just is what it is. And I've reached the point in my life to where I don't care what the consequences are. This is my opinion. I am an intelligent person. I have a high IQ. I got papers to prove it. I know how to figure things out. I know how to reason things out. And I probably do more research on things than anybody I know, mainly because I have the time to, and I am a nerdy person. I've always liked researching things. I've always liked studying and knowing things. Knowledge to me is the greatest thing you can have. And so if I want to know about a subject, man, I will just gobble up all the information I can. And I think I'm smart enough to take that information and wind up at a well thought out position. And that's true whether it be political issues of the day or whether it be the Bible. And that's why I have such widely varying views about the Bible and religion than most of my family does, or probably any of my family. But I don't care. It's me and my thing. That's something I got to work out. It's rewarding on one sense is that I don't really have to try to hide or worry about hiding or any of that kind of stuff anymore. But on the other hand, it's kind of depressing is not the word, sad isn't the word, disappointing. It's disappointing. It's just disappointing. But that's the price you really pay sometimes for a no-holds-barred attitude to being all about what you're all about. And that's the consequences. But you know what? There's consequences of anything in life. As a matter of fact, if you take my position and flip it 180 degrees, where you're a person who doesn't stand and vocalize your beliefs very much because of the circumstances you're in, you just kind of adopt the thoughts and whatever of the crowd just for ease's sake, there's consequences to that too. Most of them lie within you, mentally or emotionally, and things that you'll have to deal with. But there's consequences to that. There's consequences to everything. And ultimately you have to decide if the consequences are worth the outcome. So we're going to be giving away a Samsung Galaxy Tab 3. I'll tell you how you can win that coming up in just a second on the Brett Mason Show.
Intelligence is sexy. This is the Brett Mason Show.
Let me tell you about Courtney and the folks over at the Toyota Rental Car Program. They serve their customers by stocking the latest Toyota models, which guarantees you a superior rental experience. Plus, every Toyota model available with unlimited mileage. That's right, unlimited mileage. Rates for any of the vehicles are competitive with anything you're going to find from any other full-time rental car agency. They're just awesome. I mean, we usually get the Camry, but we've done the Avalon over there. You can get sport utility vehicles. You can get trucks. You need to take care of some business like we do when we go up to UAB. Maybe you want to just test drive a car you're thinking about buying. It's a great way to keep it for a weekend, and it's very affordable for you to do that. Hey, why don't you call over there or email my friend Courtney, tell her you heard about it on the Brett Mason Show, and say, tell me these rates or what, how I can rent a car. She'd be glad to help you. The number is 794-0741, or email her, Courtney at toyotaofdothan.com, or you can just go to toyotadothan.com and click on the rental car department and learn more.
Love him or hate him, you know what you're going to get. This is the Brett Mason Show.
All right, here we go. You want to win the Samsung Galaxy Tab 3. We're going to be giving it away. It's very easy. We've made the rules very easy. They started out a little bit more complicated. I tweaked them about 2 days in, so it just be really easy for everybody. There's a post on my Facebook page that says, hey, this isn't a joke. This isn't a scam. I'm giving away this Samsung Galaxy Tab 3, and it has a picture of it, and I believe the 18th is the date. June 18th is the date it was posted. Starting on that post, you got to like that post. Liking that post gets you in the running for the Galaxy Tab 3. That's the list of names I will use to then begin a point system. And from those list of names, I will then be going seeing how many times that list of names liked, commented, and shared other posts on my page. So any post I made after that date, any post from 6/18 on, is qualified. So you like a post, you get a point. You share a post, you get a point. You comment on a post, you get a point. So you can get up to 3 points per post. It's what makes it easy. And I'll continue to add those up, and then at the end of the contest, whoever has the most points, that means that's the person that's done the most commenting, sharing, and whatever, is going to be the person that wins it. And in the case that there's more than one person that ties, we'll do a drawing between the people that tie for the top notch, and one of them will win. It's just that the complete details are on the website, brett-mason.com/rules, brett-mason.com/rules. And good luck, and thanks for participating. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Everybody that's downloaded the app, that you just listen to it on your phone, that's just awesome. If you've subscribed to the podcast on iTunes or through Stitcher, I think that's phenomenal. Or if you've subscribed on YouTube, thank you so much. I do appreciate that as well. And if you have ideas for the show, please, by all means, let me know. info@brett-mason.com. info@brett-mason.com. See ya.
You can subscribe to the podcast, download the free smartphone app, and find more ways to connect to the show at brett-mason.com/connect.